Yes.
I love that. I love the little propeller hat. You know, she may not be in the room with us physically, but she's never really gone. You know?
So true.
It's really beautiful
I like
in that way.
The really fucking busted skibbity.
Yeah, Skibbity Julia.
Skibbity Julia.
Insane Clown Posse Julia.
Would it be Skibbity Julia or Julia Toilet?
I think Skibbity Julia.
I like Julia Toilet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Miss Julia Toilet.
That's my drag name. Yeah.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outside Noise Special Edition podcast, where we talk about our top 50 favorite albums from the year of 2024.
Wow.
Before we get into the list, you might notice some big bangers, heavy hitters from the year don't show up, and that's because we're talking about albums that mostly fit within our popularity range. It's not like a impassable barrier, but something like 20,000 monthly listeners or less.
At least at the time of us covering them.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think most of these artists still fall within.
Yeah, most of them do. So we're looking at artists in the more niche side of things. Yeah, so if you want to know why Brat isn't on here or any of those, so yeah,
that type of thing. But I think we're gonna do it in kind of chunks of 10, so it's not super overwhelming. Shall we start at 50 and work our way down?
Yeah,
Let's get started.
We can start. Okay, so at number 50, we have Passing Stones by the Gallstones. At 49, we have Diamond Jubilee by Cindy Lee. At 48, we have Rhetoric and Terror by Nonpareils. At 47, we have We Know Exactly What We're Doing by Plie. At 46, we have The Promise of Rain by Scarcity. At 45, we have Flesh and Bones Become Nothing in the Night by Dad's Apartment. At 44, we have An Appeal to Cats in the Business of Love by Trent Liptak. At 43, we have Tongue in the Mind by Tongue in the Mind. At 42, we have Please Follow Closely by Bottom Surgery. And at 41, we have Spine by Kee Avil.
All right. Already, like, all of these are bangers, even though this is the top of the list. I'm like, these are all great. All right, let's just kind of quickly breeze through these since we have a lot to cover. But Passing Stones by the Gallstones, great, Nashville grindcore, very online grindcore. We talked about this extensively in our album of the week podcast. We also talked about this in our album in the month.
Yeah, but that's true with all of these. Go dig through our podcast backlog and you can see much more extensive.
But I liked the electronic flourishes in this too. I feel like, I mean, they've always kind of done that, but they really leaned in this time, and it was kind of fun to have that online feel.
Yeah, it's about how you're surrounded by violence and it's fucked up. So.
Yeah. And then Diamond Jubilee by Cindy Lee. This one made quite a splash when it came out.
Yes.
It's by the front person of Women, the indie band. And it's great. It's just very lo-fi, kind of psychedelic.
Nostalgic.
Yeah,
we did not actually write about this, but it certainly deserved a spot on the list.
Yeah. It was kind of, I don't know, it kind of felt like it was... It was getting a lot of attention already, so we didn't need to boost it, but it is great, so it deserves a spot here. Rhetoric and Terror by Nonpareils, a alternative pop album about parenthood and the contradictions and weirdnesses that come with attaching your identity to a brand new person that you help create. Is kind of interesting.
And then they also talk about like being a creative person and being like a kind of dark person too, and then having to balance that with having like a toddler and having to be Barney half the time, I think is what you said. We also talked about this in one of our weekly podcasts.
Then, I'm looking for my plie notes. Sorry for the
we know exactly what we're doing by plie. I would put this in the same category as those heavy rap bangers from like the 2010s. So if you liked your JPEG Mafia, if you liked your Injury Reserve, you're gonna like this.
It was rap, but it was also kind of new metal too.
Kind of new metal. There's moments of it that are almost abrasive enough to be no wave. I mean, it's just like it's rock rap, but done in the least corny way possible. I don't want you to think Limp Bizkit on this one.
I think more like Death Grips, which is a pretty
it's like brazen,
basic reference.
This is like if Death Grips like stopped going crazy on the sampler and just became a band.
Dude.
Maybe it'd be like that.
That's awesome.
Okay, next, I think this one was also kind of something I spearheaded. The Promise of Rain by Scarcity. If you are into the heavier, noisier side of metal, you're gonna like this one. It's out of control, fucking crazy. Banger ass. And it's about society and how we are destroying the earth. There's a lot of those on this list, but this one might put the finest point on it in terms of how fucked up it is and how noisy and chaotic this must feel for nature.
Yeah, great stuff. And then after that was Flesh and Bones Become Nothing in the Light by Dad's Apartment.
I might have said night whenever we...
I think you did say night, but that's okay. Nothing in the light by Dad's apartment. Michael, do you want to take this one as well?
Yeah, so sorry I said it wrong whenever I was... Flesh Buzz Become Nothing in the Light by Dad's Apartment. Screamo, that type of vibe. It definitely expands on that, though. There were a lot of great straight-up Screamo releases this year, but this one really goes into these long-form songwriting, very raw, very emotional, and you get a absolutely crystal clear picture of this person's psyche, which is exactly what you want from any of these. It's got those good dissonant little twinkly riffs, heavy ass chugging, all that stuff. Great Screamo album.
Love. And then what?
Go ahead.
44, we've got An Appeal to Cats in the Business of Love by Trent Liptak, which we actually just started selling tapes of.
So if you want tapes, go to our website at outsidenoise.org/store and buy tapes. We have like 6 left or something.
This is a really sweet album. Yeah, the people are buying it. This is a really sweet album. It's like a bedroom folk, kind of an indie vibe, and they lift from poetry and it's about love and kind of coming of age at the same time, and it's really sweet, and I loved it. Yeah. And then 43 was Tongue in the Mind by Tongue in the Mind. This was cool. If I recall correctly, it's like kind of energetic and electronic. It reminded me of Atari Teenage Riot a little bit.
Yeah, I'm very kind of avant-garde, art rock, art punk. Really, really fun stuff.
Also dance, though.
Yeah, also dance. Yeah. Kind of noisy. I believe they get a little jazzy, funky on this one, too. There's some really interesting,
vocals are instantly unforgettable. They will haunt your dreams.
Gorgeous, breathtaking stuff.
Yeah, love. For sure.
Then up next at 42, we have Please Follow Closely by Bottom Surgery. Awesome digital hardcore. We've loved Bottom Surgery for a long time.
Bottom Surgery put out a ton of stuff this year.
Yes.
And this is the first thing we, I guess, listened to from them. And I guess it really left an impression because I'm like, I feel like this is the one to end up on the list.
Yeah, super happy that this release made it onto the list. Yeah, cyber grind, digital hardcore, some great samples, great vocal performance, amazing production, no notes, love it.
No notes. And then Spine by Kee Avil was 41.
Yeah, that's like a art pop, kind of noisy noise pop maybe, and it's done in a very interesting way. So we've had a lot of these artists come through doing these very organic, like hauntingly organic sounds with their electronic music. And if you want to see that put into a context that is like catchier and maybe more accessible than a lot of those more experimental sided artists, this would be the one. Genuinely, I feel like this could easily hit that broader appeal stage, and it never quite got there. So hopefully the next release from this one gets more attention. But
I think I've seen this artist on a few lists.
Yeah, so it made the round some, but this totally could like be the next fucking cool experimental thing.
The next Mag Bay kind of.
Yeah, the next Mag Bay maybe.
Yeah, and the Singing Too by Kee Avil was great.
Crazy.
All right. So the next chunk of 10, we'll just kick it right off here. With number 40 is Public Humiliation by Sissy EXO. 39, A Grand Stream by Smote. Number 38, En Conversation avec by Victime. 37, Chck 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 by Mayorga. 36, Mother of Pearl Moon by And Also the Trees. 35, Harbor Century by Eunuchs. 34, Opal by Lulamoon. 33, Snow as a Metaphor for Death by Centuries. 32, What If We Had No Money and Just Shared Everything by Decapitation in the Food Court. And 31, The 10,000 Things Praise Songs for the Irreligious by Mass Swift. So, Public Humiliation by Sissy EXO.
Also more like cyber grind, digital hardcore, also transcore, like Bottom Surgery. But great. This was a little more chaotic and all over the place, and a little more experimental too. I think they played with a few different genres on this one. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
A Grand Stream by Smote. I feel like this one, this year we're having a big moment of I want to just go into the woods with my friends and make art. I feel like there are a lot of people who feel that way.
Yeah.
And this album is, I think they literally did that, but it's also just about that feeling and that vibe.
Gotta go play in the creek.
Yeah. Post-rock, if you're into that kind of thing.
Hell yeah. En Conversation avec by Victime. What stands out to me most about this album, not most, the album cover, the hair with like the thing in it. It's just so cool. Yeah,
very, very violent, no wavy, crazy. Good read on the patriarchy and how people self-subjugate whenever they're in a system like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good commentary. Up next, we had Chck 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 by Julian Mayorga. This album was so much fun. We described it as post-cumbia, psychedelic, kind of pop rock.
Just
also
strange and intense.
Very
goes in a lot of
surreal.
directions, but kind of a futurist perspective, an anarchic thing going on too, which is really cool.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Very, very fun album. Great, uplifting, wonderful listen.
Yeah.
Next we got Mother of Pearl Moon by And Also the Trees. I feel like people were really excited about that new Cure album, and rightfully so this year, but this actually has a very similar story. It's a long-time goth band who's kind of all grown up and is deciding what to do with that sound that was built on teenage angst, and it is very interesting. I guess it is a good companion piece to that Cure record, so if you liked that, you'll like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Up next at 35, we had Harbor Century by Eunuchs.
This is the fuck Fantano pick.
Yeah, this one we knew for sure had to go on there. We've talked about it a couple times on the pod about certain reviews that were bad for no reason, that were mean, when this album was really, really cool, actually. Sort of pictures, vignettes of Sydney Harbor and its grime and character and all of it.
Yeah, very also chaotic kind of jazz rock stuff.
Big and swashbuckling at times.
Yeah.
I think Fantano's primary gripe with this album was that it was too much. Basically,
it's not too much.
It's not too much. It's not too much.
It's like a rock opera type vibe.
Yeah, I think they swung big and they hit the mark.
Yeah, I agree. It's very extravagant and in your face, and I think it pays off and is great.
Yeah, hell yeah. Opal by Lulamoon. This was kind of a lo-fi moment, right?
Yeah, like lo-fi hip hop.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of messaging about transness and just general angst at the system. But it's also like extremely listenable, and it's got some production that's a little bit ahead of the curve. I feel like for people paying attention, hip hop is moving more into that 90s revival kind of style once we're getting like a post-trap, and I think this managed to do that and still not sound like it's from the 90s. Do something very contemporary with it.
Also not really that angsty. It's fairly celebratory. I mean, of course, the artist talks about like her struggles existing as a trans woman, but it's also like very celebratory and very like spiritually rich, and it balances some of like the angst and difficulties with like actually being trans is also awesome.
Right. It can be like enjoyment of being trans and also fury at the way that they're treated. It's holding both very well.
Yes. Yeah. It holds space for both.
Snow is a Metaphor for Death by Centuries. This would definitely be best talked about by our lovely companion who's not here.
Our fallen soldier.
When
Julia.
will Julia return from war?
We'll ask Julia about this one. From what I remember, it is like an experimental rock pull if you're into all that post-hardcore, post-rock sort of vibe. You'll like it.
Very cold to good winter vibe.
Yeah, it was released last winter. It was an early release for the year, so it's cycling back to being in season. So.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
What If We Had No Money and Just Shared Everything by Decapitation in the Food Court.
It's a recent pick.
Yeah, recent pick. Maybe one of the most recent on this list. Post-hardcore, very in your face. I mean, the title kind of says it all about the messaging here. And it's still very fun and progressive, does a lot of interesting things, but it's got the meat and potatoes there. That's most of what you're there for, is some hard-hitting lyrics, good vocals, catchy songs.
The vocals are very dramatic, and kind of the core of the album too is about being a experimental musician and artist and trying to do something different and also make money from it, and how that is next to impossible. And what if we had no money and just shared everything?
Yeah, it's also the feeling of in order to be an artist, I have to work a job I don't really care about, so I don't sink all my energy into that job, and now I'm wasting all this time at this fucking job.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
And then 31 was the 10,000 Things, Praise Songs for the Irreligious by Maz Swift. This one was really cool. It was a really fun combination of noisy and experimental electronic music and gospel kind of stuff. They pull from some biblical things, and it's just always very interesting to have a religious perspective from a non-binary artist. It's like, how do you engage with Christianity?
Yeah.
And it's with electronic music, obviously.
Awesome.
So it's cool.
That tracks. All right, our next batch of 10.
At number 30, we have Conless Well by Marua. At 29, we have Heartache to Heartache by Lydia Roberts. At 28, we have A Million Easy Payments by Little Kid. At 27, we have All Leads Life by Friend. At 26, we have Shame by Meth. At 25, we have Flipping One-Sided Coins and Rolling Spherical Dice by Smallhead Big Torso Vicious Grip. At 24, we have Wild Guess by Robber. At 23, we have Bat's Feet for a Window by Bingo Fury. At 22, we have A Salve for Institution by the Sheaves. And at 21, we have Foam Set by Pet Wife.
Awesome.
All right, so getting started, Condo's Well by Marua. There was a light debate whenever we got started with this as to whether EPs count, and I guess we decided they do because this is an EP.
I think if it has enough going for it, it counts.
Yeah. This is an EP with enough content that most albums don't even reach that point. So it's, if you've been liking the post-rock adjacent things coming out of England recently, Geordie Greep, Black Midi, Black Country New Road, Legs, Jockstrap, etc. You're going to like this. It's in that vein, just never quite got the hype of some of these others. And saxophone, some damn ass saxophone. Go check it out. I've already said enough. A lot of you are into that stuff already. So
hell yeah. And then Heartache to Heartache by Lydia Roberts. This is a cool, we don't do a ton of harsh noise wall on the project. It can be hard to find a project that is harsh noise wall that changes at all, I guess, throughout the course of the album, and this one does. This has a ton of great pulls as well. It's kind of similar to the Maz Swift album in that it's pulling from like poetry from the 1800s, and by poetry I mean music in this case. Just some really, really cool sampling, kind of a sound collage thing, as well as harsh noise walls. So you can kind of trace an emotion from it as well. Obviously, that being heartache. Loved this Lydia Roberts record. Glad to see it on the list.
Beautiful.
Next up, A Million Easy Payments by Little Kid. If you like Alex G and if you like Elliott Smith, you're gonna like this one. Nothing super revolutionary here, but a extremely underrated soft rock record. And it's got all those melancholic feels for the season.
Yes, very tender, great songwriting, good stuff on that album.
Yeah.
And then up next we had All Leads Life by Friend or For 13 End. This was another kind of like religious trauma core type of album, and it's explores a few different genres. I think it's mostly emo, and then some like rock stuff. It explores a few different sounds, but ultimately I think the lyrical content is what really kind of won us over on this one.
And I think they share some membership with
Dad's Apartment.
With Dad's Apartment.
I was gonna say this artist has been all over the place.
So congrats for showing up on the list twice. You might be the only one to do that. I think you are.
That's crazy.
All right.
That's awesome.
Next up, Shame by Meth.
Shame by Meth. We loved this one. It was vicious and metallic and angry.
Yeah, we all shit ourselves when we looked at it and we're like, "These what?"
Because it's so underrated.
Yeah,
so shockingly underrated.
We all would just assume that this was up there with Chat Pile.
That it would be too big for us to cover, essentially. Yep. And no, it was great.
Great metallic hardcore, highly, highly recommended. Up next, there's Flipping One-Sided Coins and Rolling Spherical Dice by Smallhead Big Torso Vicious Grip. This is a great local Philly band. It is punk and electronic. Those are pretty much the two genres that they play with, and they're blended expertly. Some songs are more on one side.
Sometimes they're not blended, and it's great.
Some songs are more on one side. Some songs are.
They do have a
more
point
on the other.
in their set where they just abandon the guitars and go fuck with the electronics, which is pretty fun.
Awesome, fun, experimental music. Love it.
Hell yeah.
Wild Guess by Robber. If you're into post-punk, which I know had a moment a few years ago, and it's sticking around for only the most dedicated, and this band is extremely dedicated to the craft. I think they broke up right after making this, so maybe they're not dedicated anymore. I think they're probably doing other things.
But it's cool. It has a very curious approach that's really fun. You don't always see in
It's got it takes things a little further. It's not like just more of the same, but it is that consistent kind of sound. If you like that gothic post-punk vibe, you'll like it.
Love it. And then Bats Beat. What?
Bats Beat for a Window by Bingo Fury.
Yes.
I feel like I'm doing a lot here, but
no, it's cool.
That's
like
okay.
A jazzy rock moment. Well, Michael did really love this album.
That's why I said preface it with that, because this is also one I championed. So, this is also in that British post-rock vibe, but also like way on the jazzy end, like to the point where it almost falls off the jazz side of this thing and becomes its own thing entirely. But it gets bundled in with all of that. I think it, got kind of snubbed by a lot of people as the year went on. It got some attention when it came out. Great stuff. Very tender, very delicate, very expertly crafted. Album's not super long, but it's very, very well constituted in that like the same motifs keep coming back, and it's done not a concept album necessarily. It's not like obnoxious and in your face with like a storyline that it's trying to push. It's just does the whole thematic treating the album as one piece of music thing very well.
Yes, the composition and arrangement on this is really phenomenal. You can tell that these are some very talented musicians.
And then A Sad for Institution by the Sheaves. This is one we all really enjoyed when it came out. It's more of that like post-punk kind of sound, not unlike Robber, but
very fun and like off-kilter.
Yeah, it's some damn ass rock. I feel like it almost like goes back to like proto-punk and is kind of trying to reimagine punk from the ground up when it's not easy to believe in anything anymore. So it's not easy to be like fuck the Queen of England, this is my next song or whatever. It's like all that. When all that gets played out, what do you still have? And this kind of investigates that question.
Yes, we talked about how it's kind of hard to have a subculture when there's not much of a monoculture in the way that there really used to be. It's pretty easy to kind of escape into your own subculture in a way now that you don't really have to deal with all of these people who are constantly trying to make you conform to one particular way. So it's like, so how do you be nonconformist?
It's like I guess the new version of like fuck pop music would be like fuck Taylor Swift, but there's plenty of people who like pop music who don't like Taylor Swift, and that didn't used to be the case as much, right?
And there's almost just as many people saying fuck Taylor Swift as there are fans of Taylor Swift.
Versus
so
like
you're not subverting anything.
Back in like the 60s, if you were like fuck the Beatles, it's like whoa.
Oh my god,
this guy feels strongly. Then we've got Foam Set by Pet Wife. This one was really, really cool, and the artist was kind enough to send us a tape after we reviewed them.
Very sweet.
Thank you, Pet Wife.
Really, really well done dark pop.
Pop about love.
I'm a huge fan of. I like dark pop, and I know Michael can be harder to win over, so I'm happy he also likes it.
This was mostly a Julia advocacy, so
I really like Pet Wife.
The specter of Julia is haunting outside the ways.
Love it.
Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Oh, I thought that was it. I said dark pop. That's all I had to say.
Next 10.
The next.
Wait, I haven't done one yet. Can I do it?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, yay. So for our list from 20 to 11. At number 20, we have There Is a Well by Shallow Water. At 19, we have I Wish You Every Success by Fashion Tips. At 18, Last Lull of the Laurel by Roxy Radcliffe. At 17, Porcelain by Porcelain. At 16, Ambivert by Blemishes. At 15, Jordan Forst by Arvin Milio. At 14, Weezer's Blue Album by Trash Dog. 13, If I Don't Make It, I Still Love You by Still Houseplants. 12, Purity by Morgan Garrett. And 11, Ridiculous and Full of Blood by Julie Christmas.
We're really getting into it now.
Oh, yeah.
The good stuff.
This is some heat. There's a Well by Shallow Water. Also have tapes for this one. Almost sold out. We might only have one left. In fact, by the time this comes out, we might be out of tapes for Shallow Water. Yeah. But, maybe someone can twist our arm and
we also talked about them on the most recent podcast episode we did, because we had another album that sort of did this country, Americana, and shoegaze noise rock kind of merriment.
Post-hardcore.
Post-hardcore. I would say post-hardcore over shoegaze, but definitely in that same vibe.
Well, maybe just like hyphen gaze at the end.
Is anything with like a pedal steel kind of almost has shoegazy vibes, because it has that like washed out.
Yeah.
Pedal steel.
So this, if you like Drive Like Jehu and you wish that they were a country band, check this out. I don't know. It's incredible. One of the, thankfully these people did start getting recognition pretty soon after we mentioned them, but these are one of these we heard and it's like, damn, like how is this not huge?
I think they only had a couple hundred monthly listeners. I believe this was this their debut album?
I think so. But yeah, the songs are there, the writing's there, the vocals are there, the band rocks. They're very dark. They go dark with it on this country thing, which is obviously refreshing if you've been in any way aware of country music in the recent past. This completely does something new with it, and but still is very convincingly, it's like these guys are definitely from Texas. They get it.
Yeah, they get it.
So yeah.
Hell yeah. And then I Wish You Every Success by Fashion Tips. This is really fun, kind of dance punk.
A little sasscore-y.
Yeah, sassy. And it's just so fun and energetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of Riot Girl.
Dark, austere, bobbing your head in the back row ass punk music.
Yes.
Type of vibe.
It's like the opposite of that. And I love it for that reason.
Yeah.
18, I feel like this is a Kaylin pick. Go for it.
Yes, this is one that I really advocated for. Was
Hell yeah.
Last Love of the Laurel by Roxy Radcliffe. This is terminally online, psychedelic, experimental, noise, pop, folk, bedroom, all over the place. I'm just throwing adjectives at it, but she does so much on this album, and it's like an hour and a half, so there's plenty of space to do it. But
it is really, almost noise collage-ish. There's literally everything here.
It really fills the space. I would say it's also like confessional and very vulnerable. It feels like someone is reading their diary to you. Very meta as well. Really, really awesome piece of storytelling, and almost like a snapshot of like online culture to an extent, but not in like an annoying way. Just like as
well,
being
it's
someone
a
who,
human version of that. It's not like look at these epic memes.
It's not like the algorithm. It's like this is just what it's like when you exist and have a rich, meaningful existence.
Well, it's more
through the power of the internet
make with other people, which I think is the important part about the internet. That's like the most beneficial part is its ability to connect people, and like you find a home in it in that way.
And specifically when you live in a really small town and cannot connect with anyone else around you because no one around you gets it. Totally. Trademark.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you have trouble making connections in real life and you go online instead, I mean, so this is definitely a look into a different world, for me at least, and for some of you might see yourself in it, and either way, it's a super valuable, cool record. All right. Next up, Porcelain by Porcelain. This is just like another band should totally be bigger than they are. I think they're finally starting to get some recognition, getting on opening slots for larger bands.
It's happening.
If you like Deftones, if you like any like heavy like post-hardcore into the alternative metal space, this band just absolutely fucking nails it, and they've been nailing it, and I think their fortunes are finally starting to reflect that.
We love to see it. I love this one. Super intense too. Yeah. And then another 116, Ambivert by Blemishes, yet another one that we have tapes of online.
Yeah.
It's almost
they're
like
not sold out.
We are making tapes of albums that we really liked. So they're up to. This is kind of ambient, but
it varies a lot.
Yes,
it gets
a lot of variation.
Noisy ass internet music.
Yeah, sound collage and
typically confessional in the internet music style. Just really does the variation thing well. It is ambient. It is also shoegaze. It is also noise rock. It is everything. Very well constituted, long songwriting and confessional lyrics. What else?
Awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Jordan Forst by Arvin Miljo.
Very nice pronunciation. Carrie's been doing her Swedish Duolingo.
I'm on like 55 days of it, guys.
Let's go.
I'm learning.
You're basically fluent.
This was really phenomenal. This album moved me and feels more timely than ever. It is a lot of sound collage and samples from a documentary about I think the Earth Liberation Front is the name of the group that they primarily cover.
Protests.
Environmental protest, environmental terrorism.
Yes.
Environmental direct action.
Let's go with direct action.
Direct action. Don't get mad at me, YouTube. We can bleep. We can bleep that. I'll bleep that. Environmental. We're not just pouring sugar in gas tanks here. There's a little bit of arson. People are getting arrested. It's very, very intense to listen to, and there's like electronic music that the artists composed to kind of help tell this story of this group and their very brave actions that they undertook to shut down a bunch of like logging operations explosions and oil rigs and stuff.
I do remember when we talked about this, we were like, the replay of this album, you know, it leaves such a strong impression when you listen to it the first time that you may not go back to it all the time, but the impression that it left has definitely warranted its place on this list.
Yeah.
It's big, it's cool, and
incredible
as
stuff.
climate disasters become less and less ignorable.
And it's only like 30 minutes. Yeah, great listen. Very informative. And it teaches you a little bit of history, too.
Cool.
Wow. Don't we love edutainment?
Next up is Weezer's Blue Album by Trash Dog.
I fucking love this one.
This has nothing to do with Weezer's. Okay, it does have something to do with Weezer's Blue Album.
It does.
Okay, so...
You find out on the last track.
Yeah, you find out on the last track. The last track of this is fucking awesome. Honestly, one of the best singles of the year.
This album is all over the place.
Yeah, but so it's a story of a guy who grew up in a little bit of like a repressed type of household, and he thought, because this was the only thing he really had access to, the coolest people in the world were the people from the band Weezer. And he like idolized them, played their songs on like Guitar Hero or whatever. I don't even know. He mentions all the things, like all the connections he had to this Weezer CD he had. And he goes to a Weezer concert and he's like, fuck this band, fuck the people who showed up for this band who only know like 3 songs.
Yeah.
He hates it. He's like, this is disingenuous and stupid. These people aren't actually walking the walk, even though they're like, we're weird. It's like, what are you doing? That is weird.
And it's like, you guys are not rock stars.
Yeah, you're not weird or rock stars. You're bad at both. Yeah.
It's just a great snapshot of that change in perspective that you get when you sort of grow up and you're growing out of the first music you loved.
But it's also the jadedness with the music industry, which is something that all of us can relate to. We did used to live in Nashville. So if you have ever had any connection to commercial music and want to see something that takes a torch to all of it, doesn't really understand it. It's like this guy will like take the piss on just the rigmarole of your normal life and bag chasing and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's a great, super duper fun album.
Yeah, loved it.
Very not search engine optimized, so dig for it. But that artist name is Trash Dog. That you got to include that, or else you just get Weezer's Blue Album. Next up, If I Don't Make It, I Still Love You. I just made the same mistake Kaylin did.
Yeah,
If I Don't Make It, I Love You by Still Houseplant.
I said I still love you.
Yeah, Still is not in there. Okay, so this is like a dusky, smoky, like lounge jazz kind of vibe, but except it's fucked up. Except
What if a jazz lounge was so fucked up?
Yeah.
Oh, like David Lynch?
True. Yes.
Honestly, Lynch probably would fuck with this. We got to get this in front of the man.
Someone send this to David Lynch.
Yeah.
David Lynch, I'm free on Thursday if you want. Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you hear that David Lynch hates Philadelphia? This is a whole...
What? Well, no, that's why he made like Eraserhead. It's based on like living in Philadelphia and how much it sucks.
He lived here and hated it. Yeah. Okay, so anyway.
Love that guy.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I'll go to him.
Yeah,
Loungy,
sure.
jazz.
So jazz. It's got that vocal jazz kind of vibe. It has that like almost lo-fi kind of vibe. But it just feels. Yeah, David Lynch is a great way to say it. It feels like this band is kind of overexposed, given this spotlight, and they are just being themselves with it. And these guitar parts are instantly unforgettable. The artist who did those has their own side project, which is already great, Finley Clark, and it's got that like post-hardcore darkness, but it's still jazz. Very, very cool. Walks the line between listenability and being weird as fuck and way the fuck out.
I love that. Morgan Garrett, Purity by Morgan Garrett does not really walk that line. It's pretty much just out there and very intense electronic.
There was a traumatic event in the artist's life that sort of inspired the album of finding a dead body, and so there's just this like.
It's like the darkness that happens, of like seeing death firsthand.
Yes, and how that changes your relationship to the everyday world. It makes you anxious to navigate things.
Yep, it's that all the sense of safety just shatters.
Yeah.
Things that you used to, I mean, wherever you found that, which I think was essentially right in front of his house.
I believe it was in his apartment building and like the apartment over, and he's like, what's going on over there?
So that just shatters your perception of this place you have to be at every day and all of that stuff.
You have to walk past it.
Well, and you never know what's happening in the apartments next to you. Very spooky.
So this record is absolutely paranoid. The live set for this is fucking crazy.
We saw Morgan Garrett, a show.
Yeah, I think the tour has wrapped up, but if you get to see this guy in the future, especially if you're in the Northeast, because he is up here, a fellow North Philly brother. If you get to see a stage show, it's like completely takes it to the next level.
Just as chaotic as the rest of the album.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then Ridiculous and Full of Blood by Julie Christmas, another one of our album of the month picks. It's just wild, energetic, and metal. Again, I keep saying that about these metal albums. I kick them off and then I'm like, it's metal and it's good.
This is a good example of post-metal. We've talked before about how post-metal doesn't really mean anything, but to put it a little shorter, it's another one for the Deftones heads.
It got some pretty good press, but it could never be popular enough. This record rocks. It's it could easily slide onto radio ready playlists with some incredible heavy hitter, but the vocals are there to guide you through it. One of the best vocal performances of the year, if not the best. Just incredible stuff. Heavy, loud, production is off the chain. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's this is accessible for everyone. This is one you go listen to with your dad. Everyone's going to fuck with it.
Yes.
Great record.
Was hard to not put it in our top 10.
Yeah. But it just missed it by one slot. But everything else on here is incredible. So,
well, there you go. Final 10.
Am I doing it? Are you doing it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Buckle up. It's the final 10. Number 10, You Could Do It Tonight by Couch Slut. Number 9, The CMA Interdisciplinary Music Ensemble by CMA. Number 8, Violence by Truck Violence. Number 7, Viewfinder by Wendy Eisenberg. Number 6, Unrecognizable by Lolina. Number 5, American Standard by Uniform. 4, Vita Blue by Mamalik. Number 3, Wet Dream by Willie Rodriguez. Number 2, Impossible Light by Uboa. And number 1, Box of Dark Roses by Mope Grooves.
Wow.
Which, if you listened to our Album of the Year discussion...
Album of the month, last episode.
Last month, discussion where we found out the Album of the Year. The Mope Grooves pick is not a surprise to you. But I'm excited to jump in and talk about these. We'll kick it off with You Could Do It Tonight by Couch Slut. This was really good. Kind of sludgy hardcore.
Just hardcore punk.
It's
classic.
It's pissed off as
this might be the punkest record of the year.
And rightfully so.
Genuinely, yes. Misanthropic about how people are fucking horrible and disgusting and the horrible things they do, and goes in great detail about them. This is also one Julia championed. We're missing you, Julia.
Yeah. I think we really all championed this one. I think we all felt very strongly about this album.
Couch Slut fucking rules. Yeah.
It is so intense. Trigger warning for everything.
Trigger warning, literally.
Everything.
If anything bad has ever happened to you, you might not fuck with this.
Watch out. They really go into pretty explicit detail about a lot of really awful shit that happens every day to people you know and love.
Well, and that's the thing. And especially if you're depressed or whatever, that's your internal monologue all the time. And so to kind of.
But if you need the catharsis of it,
exactly. Well, no, it's in that it's good and that they are
Someone who
expressing that and is saying it out loud because it's hard when it's running through your mind and you can't say it.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Watch out. Up next at 9, we have the CMA Interdisciplinary Music Ensemble by CMA. This is another album that we did not initially review when it came out earlier this year, but I've since written a retrospective, which is now on our website, and we also have tapes for it.
Well, no, you did a big-ass interview when it came out on our YouTube page. That's what I'm saying.
Stay right here on YouTube and go check out the
you have a 45-minute interview with the band.
With the whole 12-piece band. Everyone. I thought it would be an interview with just Monty CMA, the front woman for the band, and then she pulled up with all 12 of her saxophonist and her producer and her composer. I was like, oh, okay, hi everyone.
Well, this is fun. It does
Brockhampton ass lineup, 200 people in this band.
And they all use the space wonderfully. This album is it pulls from Honduran folk music and jazz music and psychedelia, and it is a beautiful piece of experimental storytelling. Even you have to listen to this whole album. It's all great. The North is such a standout track, though. It's phenomenal. I'm so glad that this is in our top 10. It's very, very well deserved.
Yeah. Also, top 10 record last year from from CMA has
Yeah, I
been
think
doing
they-
incredible work.
I think Laurel's last year was number 2 for us.
Yeah,
It was
Laurel's
a
at the
close,
end of
close
history
second.
was number 2.
Love to see CMA out here putting stuff out. Would love to see her live someday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come to the East Coast,
Absolutely.
CMA. I think a lot of people here love you too. So
Yes.
it would go hard.
And then Violence by Truck Violence. Sorry, Michael, if I took that one. But
it's fine.
it was great. It was also
This was everyone's.
also some damn ass rock music.
Damn-ass rock.
But it has a sort of folk underbelly, maybe.
Yeah, like Canadian Western music.
Yes, talking about sort of living out in a remote place and seeing it, I guess, change.
Yeah.
This record begs the question: what if that Hillbilly Elegy book had any empathy at all?
Yeah.
It has a lot of similar themes. It's like it covers the story of a small town in which addiction runs rampant, and the songwriter becomes an addict themselves, and then begs the question and asks the question to themselves and to the audience: how much is this my fault? And then goes through you don't want to take agency away from people and be patronizing, but this is a systemic thing. But then what happens if this is a systemic thing and you happen to be at the receiving end of it? It's a great record, very and it covers these complex themes with just absolutely like bold punk rock efficiency, just drives straight at it.
But also very nuanced and very graceful, I think, in its covering of these topics as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. Up next, we have Viewfinder by Wendy Eisenberg. This was certainly, I was going to say, this is one of my favorite albums of the year, because it's in our top 10. But
Yeah.
wow.
Is this more jazz?
This is jazz.
We got
More jazz.
So
More jazz. We don't have a ton of jazz on here. I think we have
we got like 4 jazz albums on here. That's great.
Out of 15?
So Wendy, band leader, they had eye surgery to correct long-term eye vision deficiencies, I guess. And I say deficiency because that's very important to the record. It's this idea that they had always seen the world different from other people, and they know they had seen it in a way that was deemed lesser, typically. And they were always kind of wondering what would be if everything was made right. And then they got the eye surgery to fix it, and then they saw everything, and they were a little disappointed.
Okay.
It's how fantastical can you make the real world?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's like it's the expectation versus once you get what. Not even I guess what you've been wanting. If you're getting LASIK, you want to see better, but what everyone is telling you should want is the crazy part. Yeah.
And then they also talk about kind of being a person who exists with glasses and being like, well, once I don't have to wear glasses all the time anymore, I'll feel so much more like connected to other people because there's not like this piece of glass on my face that's making me separate. And then they also talk about the process of recovering from the surgery and being like literally blind for a short period of time, and kind of that being necessary to the healing process.
So music about sight, interesting stuff.
Cool,
and a person who who's draw into music might have had to do with that those sight issues, and then does it all super gracefully and super well. Incredible jazz record. Jazz really made a comeback on this year as opposed to last for our list.
That's what I was
More into
thinking.
jazz.
Also beautiful vocals on this one too.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
All right, Unrecognizable by Lolina. This is a really conceptual audio-visual work. It comes along with an interactive comic book that you absolutely have to check out.
You can find that on the Bandcamp
On their
page.
Bandcamp. And it is this kind of dark pop vibe, but does it in the most eccentric possible way. So don't think Billie Eilish.
Think
something
more like Portishead.
Yeah,
it's kind of trip hoppy.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
and it's a full concept album with these absolutely like beautiful, over the top, very fun characters. The concept is not just like some loose debased thing that in this person's head. It is very real. It is the concept is, what if buildings are weapons that are designed to hurt people, and we are all hurt by our built environment every day because nobody can afford to live anywhere. And especially these people who live in like London, which is one of the most unaffordable cities in the world when compared to what the people make who live there. So this idea that buildings are out to get you. the superheroes who this person invents to save the working people.
Yeah, I love that concept of hostile architecture. I'm such a fakie. I haven't played this game, but it's very like Persona 5 in that way, and just the world around you. I don't know my point. It's just mysterious
Hostility.
and strange and intense.
Strange.
And they never really explain what they mean by like the buildings are weapons.
Oh yeah, it doesn't need to be fleshed out.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just the antagonist. Yeah.
I'll say too that a lot of the times concept albums, especially something with a concept as crystallized as this one, can often seem a little hokey, I guess, or a little like beating you over the head with it, or you're like just listening to it for the story instead of for like the music. But I really think that the music comes first on this one, and that the concept like makes it more cohesive but doesn't get in the way of enjoying it.
If you start this one up and you're like, this is kind of over the top, think about any time you've tried to rent an apartment and then come back to it.
And if you had never even, if we didn't start off by saying like, this is a concept album and there's a game that you can play, you could probably just listen to it and be like, oh, this is just bangers.
Yeah, exactly. It stands up on its own.
Exactly. I love that.
American Standard by Uniform at number 5. Another thing that I had to triple check to make sure that they haven't blown up since then, because I feel like they totally should.
They should.
For sure. I love this album.
Yeah, incredible work. It's about eating disorders, very heavy stuff, so I guess content warning in that vein.
Yeah, and just about eating disorders, and just it's another one about how everything is so fucked up.
Yeah, and like neuroses and OCD and kind of having that one thing that you can control, but then losing control even of that.
And just the paranoia that goes along with it. And you know, I think we had a connection or a talking point maybe when we were doing the pod over this of the crossover between eating disorder and OCD and how they're so closely related, and that eating disorders are sometimes based on body dysmorphia and stuff, but it's sometimes more of a control and ritual thing as well.
And this album opens with a track that is hypnotic and really kind of puts you into that headspace of paranoia and obsession.
Meticulous paranoia.
For sure. So if you're someone who's like amazingly neurotypical somehow, nothing's wrong with you.
You might not relate.
I would say you fall out of the American Standard.
But yeah, that first track is really a great kind of capturing of that like repetitive thought loops that you experience whenever you're in that sort of state.
Yeah. Cool. Vita Blue by Mamaleek.
Vita Blue by Mamaleek. Not gonna lie, this is number 4 for us, but number 1 in my heart.
Yeah. This is Michael's.
This is mine.
You know, we all have to make sacrifices.
We all have to make sacrifices. Great record. Either
awesome
way.
fucking album. Yeah.
So this is a former black metal, like straight up orthodox black metal band, that has branched out into using that energy to go literally anywhere but black metal. Absolutely crazy stuff. I feel like history will remember this album extremely fondly. It's about the loss of one of their bandmates who passed away, and the loss of their hometown of Oakland, California, which is a town that's changed so much, and so many artists have left that it's almost unrecognizable. We just talked about that. Almost unrecognizable to what it was before. It's about loss, and the songs are absolutely incredible. Each one's very impactful, very unique, has its own identity, and they all hit that same point extremely well. Those vocals, this person brought their intensity over from black metal, and like I said, did anything but, and it's incredible. The energy's there, but everything else is different, and I don't know what else to say. It's hard to explain. I just told all my friends, whenever they asked me, I came home for Thanksgiving, they're like, what album should I listen to? This one.
The one.
Yeah.
Except it's not the one. It's the fourth.
It's the fourth.
It is still...
But you got to hear it to believe it. I don't even know what else to say about it. There's only so much talking you can do about it.
Well, Michael also has a YouTube video up about it, so you can go watch that.
I did a YouTube video about it. It's more about the loss aspect of it. But go check it out.
Fuck yeah. Number 3, Wet Dream by Willie Rodriguez. This is another one that should be high up, and another breakup album of the band, right?
And a controversial pick. I want anyone to know who looks this up and sees the 2023 at the bottom that this came out on Christmas Day 2023 after our 2023 list had been made. So yes, it is a 2023 album, and here it is on the 2024 list.
Because it's
should have gotten
good.
it out sooner if you wanted it to be on 2023. Sorry, guys.
On Christmas Day, it's like it's such a fun time to drop a fucking banger album.
It's basically New Year's. Yeah, we're like we can have a little bit of wiggle room with this one, especially for an album as phenomenal as Wet
this
Dream.
one had to be addressed. So leaks of it came out and the internet went crazy, at least if you're on an extremely niche part of the internet that gets excited about experimental music. If you like Car Seat Headrest, you'll fuck with this heavy. It is like that slacker rock.
Yeah, it's like softened emo kind of.
Yeah,
not like
bedroom rock. I would say this bookends the bedroom rock trend. I don't think it's ever going to hit this point again. I think we went from Car Seat Headrest to this, and it is.
And he did it
absolutely phenomenal. It's about this like kind of
Wet Dreams. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love in the internet age, extremely lengthy in the same way that Car Seat Headrest, extremely lengthy songs that are sliced and diced into these little bits where if they let that one little bit play out, these guys could be on the fucking radio. They are songwriting geniuses.
Right, if you just cut them into 3-minute
but instead they roll into the next and they get into topics that are just too weird to be on the radio, and they start doing their own thing, and it is incredible. The band I think no longer exists, but I hope these people go out to do incredible other things with music.
Awesome, so creative.
Like their indefinite last project.
Yeah, apparently there's some animosity there too. So really interesting. These titans of experimental music coming together and kind of clashing, and that even like apparently the album almost didn't come out. It was just the leaks got so much attention they felt like they had to finish it. Really interesting story there. It's got the story of like a great rock and roll story right there, and they follow through on it.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Number 2, Impossible Light by Yuboa. I'm so happy to see this high up on the list. Yuboa, this is one of those albums too that when we covered it, the artist had fewer monthly listeners, and now she's blown up to over 30,000. So still highly underrated. But this album, it's kind of a recovery album. It's very optimistic, but musically and instrumentally very dark. It occupies sort of an post-industrial space, which we also don't have tons of on this list, but it's one of my favorite genres of music. And Yuboa is a extremely well-known artist within this space. So if you like that sort of thing, you have probably already listened to this, but if not, then definitely check this album out, because it's personal and it's so
highly
uplifting.
emotive and noisy with its moments of subtleness, and it's just really good. Again, vocal performance is incredible. In my mind, this one and Julie Christmas are kind of holding hands and jumping in a circle.
Wow.
In a way. And then number 1, Box of Dark Roses by Mope Grooves. This being a music podcast, we're going to talk about the album, but I think it's important to say first things first. The point of, a very strong intention of this artist in putting out the album was that it was understood and received on their terms.
Yes.
So I need to direct you to the liner notes on Bandcamp. There's a linked PDF. It's a few pages long, but it will change how you interact with the album, and it's what the artist seems to want. So
I don't think she likes critics, but we like them. So.
Right. I just find it important to stress this is our album of the year, and it's important for you to receive it in the way that the artist wanted you to. So,
but that being said, we can say a few things about it.
Yes, totally, absolutely.
And now here's our take.
And now we're going to talk about it.
But
it's about found family as anarchic rebellion because you have no other choice but to live the life that you live.
Yep.
So beautiful and kind of can maybe be deceiving with its musicality, but it's quite
it's musically
deep.
bright and thematically dark.
It's
beautiful.
very soft and kind of twee, bedroomy, pop, electronic.
And it's because in these people's like living room, the vibe is there. These people are supporting each other because nobody else supports them, and you feel that love and that warmth, and then everything else is completely fucked. And there's interactions with that coldness outside in various points on the album, and it comes together really beautifully.
It's just wonderful to have a album that is so community oriented and so uplifting and so supportive of people going their own way, making their own way, and then kind of plugging in and finding the others that are like you.
Because they have to.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
you have to.
It's literally life or death.
Yes,
So-
or you die. Yeah. And I feel like, last year we chose Don't Fall Asleep by My Wife's an Angel because we felt like it summed up the chaos and, what's the word I'm looking for?
I said like the banality
Angst.
of evil.
Yeah, banality of evil and angst. And this year we made a lot of moves, I guess, towards outside and what we had to do in our creative endeavor. And it's a small version of this, but it's similar. It's relevant.
and
on a broader scale too. I mean, they have broader societal comments to make as well.
A big 2024 vibe is nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah. So you have to save not just yourself, but each other.
And how do you even begin to feel joy during that? And how is that possible? And we got to do it somehow, because that will also kill you if you're not happy. So.
Yeah, so not just the best album of the year, but also a zeitgeist.
Yes.
It's also important to note that the lead vocalist for this group has since passed away.
Yeah.
And the band is no longer active.
And the band is no longer active.
So this is the magnum opus, the end of this band's story.
The one, if you will.
The one. Yeah.
The one.
Yeah.
All right. Wow,
All right,
we
well.
did it, guys.
Fucking did it. I was like, I don't know. I think if before we hit record, I'd be like, I don't know if I could talk about 50 albums, and here we are.
Here we are.
It was
We talked about like a lot more than 50, so go check out all of our
true.
videos. Just do this. Find all the music you ever need to listen to.
Well, that's our list. Thank you for tuning in, if you did.
Yeah.
And thank you for following or supporting. If you've liked a video we made or commented or anything like that, I'm very grateful that we're able to continue doing this and try to expand it.
Yeah, and we're selling tapes, and we will be selling tapes next year.
Yeah.
Go buy stuff from these artists.
Yeah.
Go buy
to
stuff
the artists first,
from
for sure, yeah.
us if you feel so inclined. Sign up for a free trial on our Patreon if you're so inclined.
Yeah, we do podcasts and all sorts of fun stuff, game nights on Discord and that sort of thing. So, and of course, we're going to keep doing our thing on Instagram as long as we can, and TikTok until that stops. And
on here, more and more will be on YouTube.
It's been a blast. We'll be putting out videos and stuff still, but this is probably going to be one of the last things you hear from us for the rest of the year. So
take it easy.
New Year.
Yeah, great stuff.
Hell yeah.
Do it.
I think we did it.
We did it.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.